Am I the a-hole for telling my half-sister I'm glad her mum died and hope dad dies too? Trigger warning, as this story contains grooming and self-like-taking. I, 41M. Lost my mum when I was 8 and not long after my dad met his new wife. He was 39, she was 20. They had a kid very quickly afterwards. My now half-sister, who's 31. I loved her so much. We had a great relationship for a short while. My stepmother, though, groomed me, and we had a sexual relationship for a couple of years, starting when I was 14. When I was 16, we were found out, but she lied and said I took advantage of her. She was innocent, and I was coercing her. My dad believed it, and I was thrown out to fend for myself. I saw my little sister, by chance, when I was 26, and she was 16. I was so happy, and was asking her loads of questions, and how she was. She basically told me she hated me. I was a rapist, and to go and kill myself, basically. So I know by then she'd got my stepmother's version of events, and believed it. I was devastated, and it really affected me. I've not done too badly, though, considering. I have a good job, nice house, and lovely wife. I also changed my name by deed poll to my mum's surname. In my eyes, my dad and his side were dead to me. A couple of days, though, my half-sister reached out to me on social media out the blue and sent me a long message. She basically said her mum just died, and she told her what really happened before she died, that I was telling the truth, her mum groomed me, and needed to clear her conscience before she died. So now she's feeling awful and needs to apologize and hopes we can meet at some point. And she's also told my dad, and he feels terrible and would like to see me again. I basically told her to get fucked. I'm glad her mum died and hope dad goes soon. And that, as she once told me to kill myself, she should also do the same. Not long after that, her fiancé messaged me going off saying she's distraught, suicidal, and I'm a piece of shit for saying something so horrible to someone so vulnerable. I basically blocked him. Obviously, my wife knows what happened and says I was stupid and could be in trouble with the police, and that I should have just thought about it a bit more. Am I the a-hole for what I did? Edited to add a user is now stalking me and sending me abusive messages in chat like this. Well, I am not the one fucking my father's wife. Piss off, idiot. I tried to give you good advice. What do you want to hear more on? That telling someone who just lost their mother to go kill themselves was the height of intelligence? You wouldn't be here asking, asshole. If you thought you were right, you just want other morons to agree with you. Well, sorry, Cupcake. I'm not a moron. But please, keep insulting anyone who tries to give you good advice and tries to get you to grow up a little dash. Now fuck off with the penthouse letter bullshit. Edit 2. Thank you to most of you for your replies. I do appreciate it. I was really shaken reading the post people found that I think my sister wrote. Reading what she's going through, in fact just reading generally her post, made me sad and think of her as that little kid again that I loved to death. And reading how sad she was when I was first kicked out also was like a punch in the balls. So I've reached out to her asking for her phone number so we can talk. Nothing back as of yet, though. Not sure what I'll say at this point, or even what I want to hear, but I feel I need it. Comments. Commenter 1. They didn't give you a chance, but now they expect one? Fuck that. NTA. Commenter 2. Moreover, they believed a minor took advantage and raped an adult. So, yeah, they should feel awful and should live with this shame and pain for the rest of their pathetic existence. Commenter 3. NTA, her guilt and vulnerability don't make her any less an asshole. You were kicked out at 16 after being groomed by a grown-ass adult. You're the victim of sexual predation, but you were forced to fend for yourself and cobbled together a life through that. There is no apology that makes that better. No excuse for why they did what they did that gives you back decades of struggle and personal self-hate. Your sister can get the fuck over herself. I posted the other day about my abuse, and someone was really fucking vile about it. But it's made me doubt myself, so I feel like I have to get it off my chest. She started out okay enough. She was 11 years older than me, and she seemed cool. She acted like less of a parent to me and more of a big sister, though, and did most of the parenting for my half-sister. Now I'm older. I realize the inappropriate behavior started earlier than when I was 14. Mainly comments about me being good-looking. that I'm far too good for girls my age when I was struggling not to get a girlfriend. Things like that. So the abuse wasn't out of nowhere, but it went 0 to 60 really quickly. It started when she caught me masturbating when I was 14. I was mortified, but she laughed and said it's okay and to carry on. And she watched. Obviously, I was a kid, so thought it was the best thing ever. She responded by conveniently leaving some of her knickers next to my bed the next morning. Like WTF? What grown woman does that? Her coming and watching became regular. Then one day, she started masturbating myself. I was gobsmacked. Then one day, she started doing it to me and got me to do it to her, promising if she came, she'd go one better. Then when she did one day, she gave me oral and got me to give it to her, promising the same. If she came, that she'd let me lose my virginity to her, which she did. All that was in the space of about 6 months. And it didn't just stop there, of course. She trained me to be dad while he worked away, which he did all the time. He was gone for weeks on end, and when he was, she'd have me sleeping in with her when my half-sister was asleep. I was doing things no kid should even know about. Even though I was a hormonal, horny teenager, I knew it was wrong, and I told her as such a few times. But she put it on me that while I was substituting for my dad, I'd stop her cheating on him with random men and stop them splitting up, which I didn't want to be responsible for, right? So I carried on. I started becoming more self-confident and started attracting attention of girls in my year. She didn't like that and got jealous. When I was 15, and as going on a date with a girl, she scared her off and told me I didn't want to date a kid who won't even like sex for years when I can have a woman like her all the time. She told me so much how she loved me that I made her so happy. I'm pretty sure, too, she had an abortion a few times. She supposedly miscarried loads. I couldn't keep it in anymore, so I told a cousin eventually. Even though he acted like I was lying, it must have been enough that he told me dad, and then one day my dad confronted us. Which, of course, she denied. And she went nuclear. Came up with this far more believable scenario than the truth. Which, if you're a middle-aged man, who would you believe? Your son who made out his stepmother used him, like her husband, or the wife who made out I took advantage of her, when drunk then kept on raping her. Well, my dad believed her and kicked me out, and all his side believed them. I was essentially this pariah. It messed me up for years. I was hypersexual for years and still am. I had sex with everyone and anything I could, men, women, old, young, mostly older as I had a skewed view of acceptable age gaps. Until I actually sorted my life out in my mid-30s and got help. Without that, I'd never have met my now wife, who's shown me true love. Thankfully, she also has a high sex drive, although not like mine at all. We have a semi-open relationship. We have casual boyfriends and girlfriends, and have threesomes together often, so one can meet their needs when the other isn't up to it, which typically is me seeing someone with my drive being like it is. It might not be the usual, but it works for us. Hopefully, if anyone reads this, it's been useful. It has been for me writing it. Comments. Commenter. I feel very sad for you, Op, for having to go through all that. I want to ask, have you sent your dad your Reddit post? He needs to know how much he failed as a father. I still can't believe that he chose your stepmom over you, because how could a teenager have taken advantage of an adult? Weird how your stepmom wasn't drunk when your dad caught you too that day, and he didn't even question why she didn't go to the police if it was true regarding the false accusation that she made against you, because if the genders were reversed, the cops would have been called. Your dad had multiple opportunities to check if the story made any sense, especially for how your stepmom most likely wasn't drunk when she said that lie that got you kicked out, no checking to see if there were any inconsistencies with her story, and for how she didn't file charges either. He should have realized from the lie she made that she was a child predator. He didn't even examine her to check if she was actually drunk. Another case where a woman falsely accused a male without any evidence, and the male's life gets ruined. Regardless, what has your father said about this? Has he tried contacting you? Even if you don't want to, I think you should write him a letter about how he failed to protect you from a child predator. Send him your Reddit post to make him look at the comments, because he needs to know. Op, hi there. He hasn't seen it, and I don't care if he does either, to be honest. He does now know, as my sister told him, and they've since spoken as have me and her. I have an update to pop on about the main situation soon, but I have no interest in speaking to him. She can definitely share it with him, though, if she likes. I know he could have checked and should have, but if I think about it logically, I think he possibly just didn't want to. He had this younger woman who swooped in very shortly after my mom died, and he didn't have to be lonely anymore and had someone to raise his kid. I think even if he did believe it, he would have lied to himself and said he didn't, so he didn't have to divorce her and actually live as a single man and raise his kid. It was easier for him to believe her, kick his older son out, and live with his perfect daughter and hot piece of ass. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original. You all definitely helped me a lot, especially the people who sent me my sister's post earlier on that week. It was reading that which really made me feel for her and ask if we could talk, and gave her my number. It took her a couple of days, but she did ring the other day. We spoke for hours. I apologized for what I said, and she accepted my apology. I also apologized for what I said to her fiancé, and he apologized too. She wanted me to be really blunt and honest with her about everything and not hold back the abuse, what my stepmother actually did, so I told her in graphic detail. She actually felt sick, and I asked her if she wanted to go, and I ring back another time, but to her credit, she carried on, and we carried on talking about our life experiences since, how it affected us, etc. And it's surprising how much in common we've had. Hatred for a while of the opposite sex, until we sought help/met our partners, struggles with our sexuality, loads. The main thing was though how betrayed she now feels, not just by her mom, but the more she thinks about it, dad now as well, that he just fucked me off to fend for myself. She is really angry about the fact for years after I was thrown out, she missed me and wanted to find me and even live with me. But she never knew why I was cut off, so they told her their version of events when she was old enough, I suppose, to stop her, and it worked. She went from loving me to hating me, so was so angry about that. Now she's learned that's all bollocks, her head's fried. She's basically told Dad he has to carry on arranging the funeral. She doesn't need it, and he's doing it now. People are bothering her asking questions, and she's just going quiet. We ended the call on good terms. She called me by my nickname she called me as a kid when saying bye, and I responded with the same, and we both cried at that. Really was fucking hard. We've not said if we'll talk again, but have messaged since a couple times, and it was all pleasant. I'm ultimately not sure how much contact, or a relationship, I want yet, despite us having a positive experience. She understands that I need time. I definitely still don't want to talk to Dad, or want anything to do with him despite him apparently now being desperate. Her words. She 100% understands, and is also questioning how much she'll have a relationship with him going forward. She's going to discuss it with a therapist. She said his health has been poor for a few years now, and has been really bad since she died. I personally wouldn't still feel bad if he died. I definitely wouldn't go to the funeral. She understands that too. There's lots of work for me to do. I'm trying to see a therapist again myself. My head's fried. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for reporting a crying baby to HR? I am second-guessing my decision to report to HR. There is a person in my building who brings their infant to work with her, and it cries and screams and fusses, as babies do. She does not close her office door, but leaves it open like an echo chamber resounding through the halls. It is incredibly difficult to focus on anything at all with a crying baby in your ear. Closing my door helps a bit, but we have a culture of leaving doors open to signal that you're available for an impromptu meeting. I leave mine open about half of the time. I decided today that something's gotta give. I do not know her, and we do not work for the same department. I work in an office with a lot of touchy personalities and egos, and I was not confident that I could simply ask her to close her door without setting off WWII, either with her individually or between our co-located departments. Instead, I sent a very nicely worded email to HR asking if someone can send her an anonymous request to please kindly keep her door closed while she has her baby with her. I assume the woman has some kind of reasonable accommodation for having the baby at work, but now I'm second-guessing myself. What if she doesn't, and isn't supposed to have the baby with her? Did I just tell on her? I am feeling quite sheepish about it at the moment. Should I have tried to resolve this myself? HR has already responded with an emphatic, "Good job in bringing this to HR," as this is an HR issue and not something to handle yourself. But I still feel like maybe I'm the a-hole here. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. You didn't march in there and say, "Get that baby out of here." You didn't slam her door shut mid-wail. You didn't CC her boss or post on Slack like, "Hey, whose baby is this?" You went through the exact channel you're supposed to. HR even gave you a gold star and said, "Yes, this is our thing." That's not tattling. That's procedure. That's literally what they're paid to handle. Commenter 2. You have said it all. When the baby is crying is hard to focus. She did the right thing by reporting it to HR. NTA Commenter 3. Agreed. Hijacking to add that if Op or anyone else with this door culture wants to still show they're open to people approaching, but enjoy the noise blocking of the door, they could try a double-sided sign hung on the door. Side A, green, feel free to knock and come in to ask stuff. I just have the door shut for noise blocking. Side B, red, focus time. Please wait or Slack/email for non-urgent stuff. Commenter 4. If she was bringing the baby to work on the down low, you'd think she'd be a bit more proactive about making sure it wasn't drawing attention, i.e. shutting her office door. Update. I really struggled with whether this was the right thing to do. I was thinking, what circumstances must a person be in that they think bringing their baby to work is the best option? I thought about coming back to HR to sort of cancel the complaint, but then she just kept bringing the crying baby in, and it would be silent for a couple hours, and then it would go off for an hour or 10 minutes or 40. You just never knew how long it would go on, or how frequent. Every 2 minutes, every 15, even an hour would pass, and then it would start up again. I noticed every time I walked past her office, she was engaged with the baby and not her work. I noticed she only comes in from about 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and leaves for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the day to walk the baby around outside. I noticed how shot my productivity is, even with the door closed. I realized that I am getting paid to do a job out of taxpayers' money. We all are, and we are all underperforming because this one person is bringing their infant to work. HR took it very seriously, and even when I backpedaled, said they are required to look into it when children are being brought to the campus. Today they are nowhere to be heard. Her door is closed, and I got more done this morning than I had in 3 days last week on my project. I feel I did the right thing, and now that I've noticed her patterns, I think this person is unfairly taking advantage of their relatively unsupervised job in more ways than one. I won't be saying a thing about all that, though. I'm just glad the crying is gone. Comments. Commenter 1. Unless you are working at a daycare, she has no business bringing a baby to the office. It is a huge liability. Commenter 2. It's allowed at my work, but I felt I couldn't focus. Totally heartbreaking making that decision, but I haven't brought him in to work with me. I know I couldn't focus, and nobody else could either. Commenter 3. 20-some years ago, in a cube farm with waist-high walls that was more akin to the galley rowing in Ben-Hur, one of the women brought her granddaughter in to work with her. She had the little girl sit under her desk without speaking. When I realized the little girl was under there, I said something to boss, not trying to narc, more along the lines of WTF. He put a stop to it. I think if she had brought the little girl in once and said childcare issue, but it was apparently a repeat occurrence. Poor little girl.